Part 12. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 111. Countless smoke rose from behind the strange child on Lin Yi's shoulder, turning into black tentacles and moving towards Honglian Moruo's feet. The blood ring in his hand burst into 3 tentacles condensed with blood. Together with the black tentacles of the strange child, they moved towards Honglian Moruo's lower body. Where is Honglian Moruo's flaw, the only place that is not completely covered by the dark green smoke? Bang bang. The attacks from all directions made Honglian Moruo's face angry. As an ancient prince and noble, he paid countless prices for immortality. Just when he was about to succeed, someone came to try to stop him. This made his anger uncontrollable. Go to hell, humble pariah. Along with his roar, a circle of terrifying yin qi gushed out of his mouth. This yin qi mixed with huge sound waves, and the two superimposed, like a storm, blasting forward. The purple corpse monster was the first to bear the brunt, but it had already punched out. The violent force directly hit the sound wave, and under the distortion of the sound wave air, it was submerged by countless black. The huge black smoke face fell and bit down on Honglian Moro. It bit the dark green smoke around him. The dark green smoke began to dent under the bite of the black smoke head. The ice and firestorm behind also hit the dark green smoke, and the smoke began to be torn apart by the power of the ice and firestorm. Seeing that the dark green smoke seemed to be unable to support it, Honglian Moro suddenly clenched his fists with endless black air. It turned into 2 huge black fists and blasted towards the top and back. Boom! Accompanied by a huge explosion, the black poisonous smoke head on the top of the head exploded directly, and died together with the fist transformed by the black air. The ice and firestorm behind also exploded directly under the impact of the black fist. The purple corpse monster in front of Honglian Moro was covered with scars and paused. But in just a moment, it burst up again. He inserted his hands into the dark green smoke and grabbed Honglian Moruo's neck. Lin Yi saw it clearly and immediately judged something: dark green smoke cannot block physical attacks. The purple corpse monster's hands burst out with terrifying power, and it wanted to strangle Honglian Moruo's neck. Crack, crack, crack. Under the huge force, it seemed that the bones were breaking. At the same time, the tentacles of the strange child and Lin Yi's blood tentacles grabbed Honglian Moruo's heels at the same time. The tentacles burst out and were about to pull Honglian Moruo down. But at this time, Honglian Moruo's whole body shook, and his eyes radiated terrifying light. A terrifying, hoarse, and angry voice exploded in Lin Yi's ears. Get out of here! Boom! As if a thunder exploded, a huge yin energy exploded from Honglian Moruo's body. A circle of black air waves burst out with a terrifying impact, directly shaking away the purple corpse monster holding Honglian Moruo's neck. The fingers of the purple corpse monster's hands were nearly half broken in this huge impact. And this impact rushed towards Lin Yi, the two-headed dog, and the bad doctor. Facing the oncoming impact, Lin Yi's face changed, and he instantly pinched the Vajra seal and the fearless seal. The whole person radiated golden light, and in the golden light, a layer of green light covered the whole body, just like the golden body Arhat in the temple. Covering his face with both hands, his legs were one in front and one behind, and he bent his waist in a bow shape to reduce the impact area from the front. Bang! With a muffled sound, Lin Yi's whole body shook violently, and the terrifying impact made him slide backwards. In a second, he hit the wall of the stairwell behind. The huge recoil force made his mouth full of blood. Injured. So scary. A huge and terrifying gust of wind blew in his face. Without thinking, Lin Yi turned the Vajra seal in his hand into the speed seal. A huge force exploded under his feet and pounced to the left. Boom! At the moment he avoided it, countless flying stones flew everywhere at the previous position. Lin Yi swept his eyes and saw a huge shadow right where he was just now. Honglian Moruo inserted one of his hands into the wall, blasting out a huge hole. Honglian Moruo looked at Lin Yi at this time, his eyes full of anger. Lin Yi's true destiny was running to the extreme at this time, peeping into the principles of all things. He could see everything about Honglian Moruo, who was only 1 meter away, clearly. A huge shadow came again, but it was Honglian Moruo's giant leg stepping down on Lin Yi. A gleam of light flashed in his eyes, and Lin Yi's body suddenly rolled away. Rolling like a donkey is sometimes a very practical life-saving trick. Boom! A hole was stepped on the ground. At this time, Lin Yi jumped away quickly, and the purple corpse monster also stood in front of him at the same time. The purple corpse monster cut off Honglian Moruo's pursuit, held the hammer in both hands, and fell from the sky, blasting towards Honglian Moruo. This attack gathered all the power of the purple corpse monster, and even a layer of twisted wind pressure was diffused on the heavy hammer. Honglian Moruo was chasing Lin Yi at this time, and when he threw a punch, it just collided with the purple corpse monster's hammer. Boom! Another violent air shock erupted. The purple corpse monster's arms made a cracking sound on the spot. The terrifying force even bounced it up and fell backwards. At this time, the two-headed dog rushed up fiercely. The flexible body kicked off the ground, and two huge mouths that were half a meter long bit the back of Honglian Moruo's neck. A piece of black blood was torn apart by the sharp mouth. Honglian Moruo seemed to feel the pain and reached for the back of his neck with both hands. At this time, the green light in Lin Yi's eyes was running to the extreme, and he pinched two seals in his hands. The left hand was the speed seal, and the right hand was the lion seal, and the speed and strength sword at the same time. The whole body's Vajra seal and Yiling Sutra were running to the limit. Like a ghost, with a blue-gold light and shadow, he rushed towards Honglian Moruo. His speed was so amazing that Honglian Moruo noticed his behavior at the first time. A sense of danger rose from Honglian Moruo's heart without any hesitation. It opened its big mouth and sprayed a mouthful of dark green smoke. This time, the dark green smoke seemed to turn into a sharp arrow and rushed towards Lin Yi's face. Lin Yi's eyes flashed with green light, capturing the huge power contained in this sharp arrow. A thought flashed through his mind in an instant: if you resist, you will die. Without any hesitation, his body suddenly shrank and became half a head shorter. The strange child who had been sitting on his shoulder burst out countless black tentacles. Crossing countless distances, it grabbed Honglian Moruo's body. The tentacles burst out with great force, and the other half of the strange child's tentacles wrapped around Lin Yi's abdomen. With the help of the pulling force of the tentacles, Lin Yi's speed soared again. The next moment, he had crossed several meters and came in front of Honglian Moruo. A lion seal was blasted out with his right hand, blasting towards Honglian Moruo's abdomen. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 112. Where was it, one of the three black vortices in Honglian Moruo's body that he saw through the true fate Daoji? At this time, the two-headed dog behind Honglian Moruo was biting wildly. His solid skin and flesh were bitten and blood flew everywhere. Taiwan Novel Network Rightward Arrow. The blood was black blood, and the flesh was pitch black. All this happened in an instant, and Honglian Moruo's heart was filled with endless anger and resentment. Suddenly, his head bent down and slammed forward, and the huge force made the two-headed dog lose balance. He grabbed the head of the two-headed dog with both hands. The terrifying power exploded, and the body of more than 3 meters high pressed towards Lin Yi at the same time. The shadow enveloped, and Lin Yi felt his scalp numb. The feeling of death enveloped him, and he knew that his plan could not go on. But at this time, the power was exhausted, and it was too late to change. He could only change the direction of the lion seal on his right hand, slightly tilting to the right. Boom! With a muffled sound, he directly hit Honglian Moruo's lower abdomen, and at the same time, golden light burst out from his feet, and his body rolled like a carp. With the help of the thrust of his right arm and the power of the speed seal, he rolled to the left. Boom! Lin Yi narrowly avoided Honglian Mara, who was bending down, headbutting and pressing down with his arms. The huge and terrifying force directly shattered the floor of the rooftop. The ground within a radius of 5 meters could no longer withstand this terrifying force and shattered directly. Lin Yi, the illusory child, Honglian Mara, and the two-headed dog all fell to the broken ground. That was the third floor of Lan Kuai-Fong. Boom! A cloud of dust and chaotic black air fluttered, completely blocking the vision. Lin Yi was falling at this time, and suddenly he was terrified. A huge palm passed through the smoke and yin energy and grabbed his head. Looking at the palm as big as a human head, if it grabs Lin Yi's head, it will probably explode like crushing an egg. Lin Yi felt a little scared, even though he was a time traveler. He has mastered supernatural powers in this world and has even dealt with more than a dozen cases of wronged souls. But facing death, he is just an ordinary person. At the critical moment, he had an idea, and the strange child who had been lying on his back made another contribution. I don't know when, some tentacles of the strange child have grabbed the pierced ceiling. These tentacles suddenly contracted, and Lin Yi's falling body went upwards. Honglian Moro's arm rubbed Lin Yi's clothes, tearing. The sharp nails even rubbed Lin Yi's jacket, leaving a blood mark on his chest. The tactical suit was directly cut open, with a slight difference. Lin Yi rolled in the air and landed at the staircase on the third floor. With a flash of green light in his eyes, he saw a huge figure crawling up from the ground in the smoke and dust in front. I miscalculated. The corpse immortal transformed by Honglian Moro is too terrifying. This is not the complete form yet. It is impossible to defeat it in its home field. This is definitely the second level of the human immortal path, and it is not far from the third level of the human immortal path. He shouted, "Hurry up, I can't hold on any longer." A purple figure rushed down from the broken ceiling. He kicked Honglian Moro with gravity and terrifying power. Honglian Moro roared, "Get out of here, scum!" He punched the purple corpse monster. There was a muffled sound when the fist and the kick were added. The purple corpse monster flew up and hit the ceiling of the third floor, several meters away from Lin Yi. Honglian Moro took 3 steps back under the huge force of the purple corpse monster. Obviously, he was not feeling well from the kick of the purple corpse monster. Lin Yi's roar also reached the ears of Li Changfang and others. Li Changfang looked at Huang Yiming, who was gradually suppressed by him, and a trace of cruelty appeared in his eyes. "Damn it, don't blame me." A huge amount of energy exploded from her body, and her skin turned red in an instant. This was the manifestation of the energy bursting to the extreme, and she seemed to be integrated with the sword in her hand. She turned into a sword light and rushed towards Huang Yiming. Bang! With a huge collision sound, the sword light directly bounced Huang Yiming's hands away. The terrifying force even made him fly back several meters and hit the wall. At the same time, Li Changfang, who was integrated with the sword, also blasted into the strange body collection behind Huang Yiming. The next moment, sword lights exploded in the collection, and countless fragments flew and exploded. Boom! In the explosion, a figure rushed out at the same time, but it was Li Changfang with a pale face. In the previous attack, she performed a secret technique. You can only succeed if you burst your potential. Now she is completely weak. At this time, Tang Chun heard Lin Yi's roar at the gate and no longer cared about holding back. The whole body burst out with endless heavy cocky light, and the knife light in his hand became as heavy as a mountain. Even the cocky energy covering his body seemed to have turned into a thin layer of rock. Bang bang! Wang Dong'ai and Li Fipeng hit him from behind, and were shaken away by a huge force. With the help of the two people's attacks, Tang Chun rushed towards the gate. At this time, he didn't care, like a truck without brakes, rushing into countless arms with a huge knife light. Boom. A bright knife light flashed down, splitting the gate in half from top to bottom. In the violent explosion, Tang Chun fell to his knees with a pale face, spurting blood from his mouth. Just now, he had used his skills to the limit and even withstood the attacks of two masters of the body-penetrating level. He could no longer continue. Huafeng on the third floor also heard the roar from Lin Yi, and he did not dare to delay any longer. The knife light in his hand burst into infinite green. The next moment, he turned into a storm of knife light and rushed into the strange aggregate composed of countless legs and feet in front of him. The knife light exploded, and at this moment, he didn't know how many knives he had swung. The knife lights vaguely matched a certain rhythm with each other, forming a storm of knife light. Dozens of knife lights covered the area 1 meter outside the long knife, turning it into a death zone. Rumble. In the explosion, accompanied by countless green lights, the aggregate suddenly turned into countless fragments. Huafeng sat on the ground with his whole body weak, gasping for air. In the garden, the strange locust tree with many heads in the center grew countless vines crazily. They stabbed towards Qianbei like thousands of sharp blades. At this time, he also heard Lin Yi's roar, and a trace of determination flashed in his eyes. Fight! The aura of his whole body suddenly shrank, and at this moment he seemed to have turned into an ordinary person. The narrow knife was sheathed, and his body bent slightly. The next moment, when countless vines and branches stabbed at him, Qianbei completely exploded. He took a step forward, as if teleporting, and a flash of snow-white knife light flashed in his hand and chopped straight out. The knife light was like a crescent, spreading 1 meter away from the blade. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 113. The world seemed to stop at this moment, and countless vines and sharp thorns just touched Qianbei. Crack! It was as if something broke. Countless vines and branches stiffened instantly, and the whole tree began to petrify. Like a virus, it quickly spread to all the branches and vines. Then they all shattered and turned into countless ashes. Plop! Qianbei fell headfirst into the ashes, and a trace of blood permeated his body. Dense and fine scars appeared on his skin. In the dangerous moment just now, he had been pierced into his skin by countless vines and branches. At this time, on the third floor, Honglian Moro and the purple corpse monster took a hard hit and retreated 3 steps, and just recovered. But the world seemed to have changed. Crack, crack, crack. Countless cracks spread throughout the entire spiritual world in an instant. This world looked like glass and was about to break. Seeing this scene, Honglian Moro's eyes suddenly widened, as if he couldn't believe what he saw. No, how could it be? I will kill you. He seemed to have fallen into madness, rationality completely disappeared from his eyes, and his huge body rushed towards Lin Yi. But the moment he moved, the world shattered. Crack, crack, crack. There were countless glass-like shattering sounds, and Lin Yi felt that the world in front of him shattered into countless pieces. A brand new world fell into his eyes. The familiar air, countless energy brilliance, and the flashing truth and spirituality all appeared in his eyes. At this time, a shadow enveloped him, and a huge body rushed in front of him. Honglian Moro's hideous and terrifying face, scarlet eyes staring at him. The claws were already above Lin Yi's head. But the next moment, Honglian Moro was hugged by a group of purple figures. Rushed to the glass window on one side of the central garden together. Hualala! The glass window was directly shattered by the impact of 2 huge figures. The purple corpse monster had already embraced Honglian Moro's waist and fell from the air on the third floor to the bottom. Boom! It was only a second before a huge roar sounded, and the sound of a huge object falling resounded through the sky. The entire Lan Kuai-fong was shaken by the huge impact. On the street outside Lan Kuai-fong, the loud music and the sound of countless people dancing covered up the vibration here. But the police officers who were blocking the gate of Lan Kuai-fong and Fang Fei Fei, Xiao Yan, and others who were standing by and watching noticed something was wrong. A man in black with a machete suddenly appeared in front of the gate, half kneeling on the ground. A loud noise came from Lan Kuai-fong, and the ground shook. It was very strange no matter how you looked at it. At this time, several police officers outside saw the man in black who suddenly appeared. They all turned pale, and quickly hid behind the police car, took out their guns, and pointed them at the man in black. Tang Chun. Don't move. Don't move. Tang Chun also suddenly noticed the situation outside and came back to his senses. In the mansion, Lin Yi stepped to the broken window on the third floor and looked down. The purple corpse monster and the red lotus moruo fell into the garden below, creating a big pit. At this time, the purple corpse monster was lying on the red lotus moruo. Obviously, the red lotus moruo directly bore the impact of the fall. Even if you are at the peak of the human immortal path, if you fall from such a high place, your body will rot and you will die. Lin Yi rushed down along the stairs, and countless strange smoke filled the air along the way. There were also countless miserable faces roaring, but they no longer had any destructive power. Lin Yi saw their origins at a glance. All of them were sacrifices that died at the hands of the red lotus moruo. This is because the spiritual world was broken, and they also lost their power, becoming the remaining traces of powerless wronged souls. With the passage of time, they will eventually be consumed in the world. In just a dozen seconds, Lin Yi had arrived at the central garden. He saw Qianbei lying in the center at a glance. Fortunately, Qianbei was a little far away, otherwise he would have been hit by the falling red lotus moruo and the purple corpse, and he would have been absolutely dead. Lin Yi's eyes flashed with green light, and he looked at Honglian Moro who was pressed under the purple corpse monster. The yin qi in the opponent's body was rapidly dissipating, and the 3 black gas vortices in the body were completely broken. It seemed that he was not far from death, but Lin Yi was not careless. He stood carefully in the distance and stared at Honglian Moro. As long as there was any change, he would stay away at the first time. At this time, the purple corpse monster was struggling. In the previous battle, it almost broke both arms and fractured its right leg. In the end, it relied entirely on its left leg to rush out. Pushed Honglian Moro out of the glass window and fell to the ground together. Although it had Honglian Moro as a buffer, it also had broken bones all over its body and was in a state of serious injury. But Lin Yi did not pay attention to its injury. The purple corpse monster is a strange existence with a strong regeneration ability. As long as it is not dead, it can continue to regenerate and heal wounds. And as a picture album summon, even if they are killed in the outside world. As long as the picture album is not destroyed, they can recover through cultivation. Dong dong dong. 2 footsteps sounded behind him. They were Li Changfang and Hua Feng. Li Changfang came to Lin Yi's side, looked at the situation in the garden, and showed a trace of vigilance on his face. Lin Yi, what should we do now? Honglian Moro is dead. Wait, from what I've observed, the power in its body doesn't seem to have completely dissipated. Just as Lin Yi was speaking, the suppressed Honglian Moro moved. His body trembled wildly, as if he wanted to push away the purple corpse monster that was pressing on him. But the purple corpse monster also weighed hundreds of pounds, and Honglian Moro, whose bones and muscles were also broken, had no way to deal with it. Lin Yi, Li Changfang, and the other 2 stood by the central garden and did not approach. Don't get close, its power is constantly dissipating. It's said in the report that once the 100 life corpse immortal formation is broken, if it is not transformed into a complete corpse immortal, it will automatically collapse. It's dead, let's not mess with it. Li Changfang and the other 2 looked at the central garden with a vigilant look, and took another half-step back. At this time, Honglian Moro, who was struggling wildly, was constantly changing all over his body. The flesh was falling and decaying, and the whole person was emitting countless black smoke. A shrill voice rang out from his mouth, "No, it won't. How can I die? I want to be immortal. Someone come and save me, save me. No. Master, save me." Roaring and struggling crazily, his voice gradually became weaker and his body collapsed. When countless black smoke completely dissipated, only a piece of black ash remained under the body of the purple corpse monster. Hoo-hoo. A gust of cold wind blew up, and the ash moved with the wind and scattered into the central garden. At this time, Lin Yi breathed a sigh of relief. He was sure that the Red Lotus Moruo was dead. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 114. His left hand went deep into his arms. Where was his summoning album? After injecting the essence, the album emitted a strange and faint wave. The purple corpse monster on the ground began to dissipate, turning into a wisp of black smoke and disappearing in Lin Yi's arms. The strange child on his shoulder, the two-headed dog on the third floor and the bad doctor also turned into black smoke and returned at the same time. However, only Lin Yi could see this black smoke, and Li Changfang and others could only see the purple corpse monster disappear. They didn't know what happened, and didn't ask Lin Yi. Obviously this was Lin Yi's secret, and they wouldn't ask. At this time, a noisy sound came from outside Lan Kuai-fong. A group of police officers rushed in, and the light of flashlights kept flashing. They soon saw Lin Yi and others, and one of them who seemed to be a superior noticed the black clothes of Li Changfang and others. He hurried over, nodded and bowed, "Sirs, I am the chief of police in this Orchid Street district. Excuse me, what's the situation now?" Li Changfang looked at Lin Yi, as if asking him what to do. Lin Yi pulled his face, "I am only responsible for handling the incident itself. Now that the problem is solved, you can handle the rest by yourselves. I'm leaving first." Lin Yi left like a flying bird, without any interest in staying. Li Changfang looked at Lin Yi's back and said hurriedly, "Mr. Lin, Huang Yiming's matter has not been resolved yet." Just as she was talking, a figure appeared in her sight. Huang Yiming walked in from outside with Tang Chun. Tang Chun looked a little pale, and Huang Yiming also looked bad, with black eyebrows. Obviously he was seriously injured in this accident. Lin Yi saw the two of them, turned his head and glanced at Li Changfang. "He's fine, I'm leaving." This time, no one stopped him. Walking out of Lan Kuai-fong, the outside was surrounded by police cars and ambulances, and some journalists came in smelling the smell. There were 3 people sitting in one of the ambulances, and 2 were lying in the ambulance. After a glance, Lin Yi didn't look at it again. The 2 people in the ambulance were filled with resentment. Although he didn't know what was going on, Lin Yi didn't care about things that had nothing to do with him. He bypassed the police cars and ambulances, left Orchid Street along the street, and walked towards the Wanchaiwu. He looked down at the time, 5 o'clock in the morning. Lin Yi thought to himself. Fortunately, I killed the Red Lotus Moro before 3 o'clock. Otherwise, it would be a big trouble, but this time it's a bit of a loss. The two-headed dog and the purple corpse were both severely injured. It will take at least a few days to fully recover. The night was hazy, and after leaving Orchid Street, the whole world quickly quieted down. The spring night was very cool. Lin Yi felt the tiny injuries in his body and shook his head. I also need to rest for a few days to heal my injuries. Half an hour passed. Ringing. Lin Yi pushed open the door of the Wanchaiwu, and the sound of bells rang. Manager, you're back. Brandy looked at Lin Yi in surprise, with joy in his eyes. He was a little scared that night, fearing that something strange would happen in the Wanchaiwu again. Now that Lin Yi has returned, he is relieved. Now that we are back, We will open at noon tomorrow. Put up the business hours and go to rest. Brandy nodded quickly, okay, manager. Lin Yi walked towards the corridor, and a blood ring fell from his hand. Before it fell to the ground, it disappeared into the air. Lin Yi put the strange objects he had taken away into the original room one by one, and then returned to his bedroom. He turned over on the bed and sat cross-legged. With the energy running around his body, Lin Yi entered a deep state of meditation. He consumed a lot of energy in the battle tonight, and suffered internal injuries. If it weren't for Li Changfang and the other four, he would probably die there. Red Lotus Moruo, a horror beyond imagination. With the return of Lin Yi, the Wanchaiwa fell into silence again. Deep underground in the headquarters of the Men in Black, there is a huge archive room. In the office of the archives room, a mysterious man in black looked at the report in his hand. Is it solved? It was quite fast. He took out a blank document and began to write. The fine pen slid smoothly on the paper, recording the incident this time. There are several words that are very eye-catching. Lin Yi, 23-year-old manager of the Eurozwia. Kung Fu, Great Vajra Seal, a mysterious Kung Fu. The origin of the mysterious Kung Fu is unknown. It has a huge effect on all strange objects and negative existences such as resentful spirits, and it is speculated to be inherited from the ancient school. Strange objects: 1 space type strange object, 1 blood type strange object, 1 summoning type strange object. Observation index, 2 stars. Attitude index, 2 stars. Combat power index, 2 stars. Evaluation, 2 stars, human immortal level combat power. Conclusion: it has the potential to impact 3 stars in the future and has a certain investment value. After the mysterious man finished writing the evaluation and report, he put it in a file bag beside him. They have some strength. According to my report, they have 1. Let's observe for a while. The Strange Things manager of the black-clad men's headquarters, Huang Yuxian, had a faint smile in his eyes. Time flies and it is the next day. A big event happened again in Lan Kuai-Fong, which became the front-page headline of the Red Lotus Daily that day. This matter was also widely spread on major news websites and forums. There were many explanations and speculations, which made countless people eat melons. After a night of conditioning, Lin Yi's internal injuries had mostly healed, and the next step was to take time to recover. At 10 o'clock, Huang Yiming came to the door. He looked at Lin Yi with gratitude and bowed. Mr. Lin, thanks to your prompt decision, I was able to survive. Lin Yi shook his hand. You don't need to thank me for this, I just want to complete the mission. If you were successfully sacrificed at that time, the Red Lotus Moruo would have completely transformed into a corpse fairy and resurrected. I can't stop that kind of monster, and the mission would have failed. Huang Yiming said gratefully, I still have to thank Mr. Lin for his prompt decision, which gave me a chance to breathe. Okay, in this case, I accept your thanks. What's the matter with you today? Lin Yi looked at Huang Yiming in confusion. I should have completed my mission. Huang Yiming nodded. Yes, Mr. Lin, your mission this year has been completed. Unless you are specially recruited, you will need to complete the mission again next year. This report is a review and conclusion of all the contents of the entire incident. The minister asked me to send it to you for a look. Also, this is the reward for this mission. Huang Yiming put a file bag and a palm-sized wooden box in front of him. The reward this time is a piece of spiritual jade. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 115. Spiritual Jade? What is that? Lin Yi showed a hint of curiosity in his eyes. He watched Huang Yiming open the wooden box, and inside was an irregular jade stone with a pure green color. It was about the size of a thumb, very crystal clear, and a faint wisp of smoke could be vaguely seen floating around it. This jade stone reminded Lin Yi of a poem. Lanshan Sun Warm Jade Smoke. Spirit jade is a kind of jade with powerful spirituality. It has only appeared in recent years, but there are records that it seems to have appeared in distant times. It is a treasure that absorbs the spirituality of heaven and earth. Wearing it on the body can increase the resonance of energy between heaven and earth. It has a significant amplification effect on the cultivation of human immortals. Lin Yi frowned slightly when he heard this. I actually got such a reward for this mission. Huang Yiming looked at Lin Yi with envy and said, this time, thanks to Mr. Lin's discovery of the traces of the existence of the previous dynasty, Honglian Moro cracked his 100 life corpse immortal formation, otherwise once the formation was completed, the consequences would be very serious, and it would even cause chaos in the entire Honglian city. After careful research, the minister increased the difficulty coefficient of this mission to the headquarters. So after considering it, the headquarters gave a piece of spirit jade as a compensation reward for this mission. Lin Yi suddenly realized it after hearing this, but no matter what the truth is, since it was delivered to his door, it was what he deserved, so he naturally accepted it with peace of mind. If that's the case, then I'll accept it. Thank Minister Yin for me. Huang Yiming nodded, I will definitely convey your greetings. Ringing. Looking at Huang Yiming who was leaving, Lin Yi closed the box of Lingyu and picked up the report. The report was not long, about 2 pages. Lin Yi read it carefully and frowned. It's really terrible. Power breeds endless desires. Honglian Moro, the brother of the emperor of the previous dynasty, enjoyed the title of prince. It can be said that he was the most favored person in the previous dynasty. As the brother of the emperor of the previous dynasty, he enjoyed all the glory and wealth. But this person had a congenital disease and could only live to 50 years old at most. Since this person knew about this, he chose a place in Honglian City to build a brand new prince's mansion. That is today's Lan Kwai Fong. At that time, a large number of skilled craftsmen were mobilized and a large amount of assets were spent to finally complete it. But no one knew that this man planned to build it after he got the formation diagram of 100 Life Corp's immortal formation. In the previous dynasty, the Red Lotus realm was still in an era of inactive energy, and martial arts were still in the mortal world. Only those who control strange things have supernatural powers. As a powerful person, Honglian Moro not only desires life, but also desires power. He seems to have secretly sent people to find a way to gain power and longevity. It took a lot of time and experience, and he found the formation diagram of 100 Life Corp's immortal formation in his later years. He seemed to have invited a mysterious person to secretly arrange the formation for him. After doing all this, he began to hunt various targets in Honglian City to prepare for the completion of the formation. When he was seriously ill and dying, he buried himself in the spiritual world of the mansion. According to the records in the report, the reason why the mansion was transformed into Lan Kwai Fong seemed to be suggested by someone. The final investigation result was that the person who suggested it disappeared. The report speculated that the whole thing seemed to be a conspiracy that lasted for hundreds of years. The ultimate goal is to create a corpse fairy monster. Lin Yi was also surprised when he saw this, a plan that lasts for 100 years? Are you kidding me? What kind of person or force can maintain a plan for 100 years, and the transformation of Lan Kwai Fong is obviously a matter of recent years. In other words, this mysterious force has existed for hundreds of years, and the plan has been going on all the time. Seeing the content of the report, Lin Yi was skeptical, but then a little understanding rose in his heart. No wonder this report was sent to me, I'm afraid it was to make me pay attention. If this is really a plan of a mysterious organization, I'm ruining someone else's 100-year plan. Not to mention the hatred of killing my father, I'm afraid it's irreconcilable. Thinking of this, Lin Yi couldn't help but twitch his mouth, obviously he seemed to have encountered some big trouble. Looking at the box containing the spiritual jade, Lin Yi said secretly, I'm afraid it's not just a reward. It's more of a compensation for the big trouble I might encounter. Lin Yi took a deep breath, and a trace of solemnity appeared in his eyes. We have to be alert these days, or we might get into trouble. In an old house in the east of Honglian City, a young man was frowning. This is troublesome. The chess pieces laid by the master were destroyed, but fortunately only the surface was destroyed. This Honglian Empire is really troublesome. Can't we just leave it alone? But since the master's chess pieces were destroyed, we have to give them a miracle. Find that person first. The young man was wearing a Taoist robe, and his handsome face was slightly feminine. It turned out to be the mysterious person who appeared after Lin Yi helped old man Qian regain his grandson's soul some time ago. Zhengyueze. In the mansion of Sakura Miyaswili's family, Sakura Miyaswili looked at a report in her hand and showed a hint of surprise. The 100 Life Corpse Immortal Formation? This seems to be a secret method of an ancient mysterious section. Sakura Miya surely is a person with her own inherited sect, and she also knows some information. Especially the sect that disappeared millions of years ago in the legend of the human ignorance period. Why did this thing appear 100 years ago? And it was used by someone. There is a strong smell of conspiracy in it. In the Red Lotus realm, many people got the information of this incident. This matter is too special. It is related to the way of cultivation, and it appeared more than 100 years ago. The problem here is very big. More than 100 years ago, the way of cultivation had no power at all, and it was impossible to arrange this big formation. To arrange this big formation, you must have the essence of the human immortal level to arrange it. 100 years ago, the world change had not yet appeared, the energy was inactive, and it was dead. A master of the human immortal can be said to be a figure that appears once in 1,000 years. I don't know how many difficult fights and countless adventures you have to go through before you can reach the first level of the human immortal and condense the spirit pool. But this is the limit of heaven and earth, no one can violate it. However, because of the restrictions of heaven and earth, every powerful person of the immortal level can be clearly seen and their origins are clear. In the era 100 years ago, there had never been any human immortal masters. Even if we push it back 100 years, there had never been one. According to historical records, the last human immortal master appeared in the Great Yang Dynasty 500 years ago. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 116. He is a peerless martial arts genius from the royal family. Only with countless natural treasures can one enter the path of human immortality. But this time, the incident of Honglian Moro made many people see something wrong. It is impossible for a master of human immortality to appear 100 years ago without leaving any trace. All forces that are long enough and have various records have noticed the problem. Considering the changes in the world today, they feel that there may be some connection between them. However, Lin Yi didn't know these. After getting the report and the gift, he returned to his bedroom. The Wanchaiwu was directly thrown to Brandy to take care of. In the bedroom, Lin Yi walked to his bookshelf. Reached out and took out his strange event book. Began to summarize this incident. The elegant man wrote down the main content of this time in the event book. Case number 21. Time, February 10, 2020, Red Lotus Calendar. Location, Lan Kuaifang, Lotus Street. Event, Lan Kuaifang Disappearance Incident. Black-clothed blood department consultant task. After investigation, the whole incident in Lan Kuaifang originated from the former Prince Honglian Moro. This person obtained the 100 Life Corpse Immortal Array with the intention of transforming himself into a corpse immortal, so as to obtain immortality. The processing process is extremely complicated, and the members of the black-clothed blood department were combined to crack the spiritual space array eye of the 100 Life Corps Immortal Array. In the end, Honglien Moro was destroyed because the formation was broken and the transformation of the Corps Immortal failed. According to the results of the Blood Department's investigation, the incident seems to be a conspiracy that has lasted for 100 years, and there is a mysterious black hand behind it, which is worth noting. Harvest, a spiritual jade. Writing here, Lin Yi stopped the pen in his hand, looked at it carefully and nodded. Another thrilling event. I really look forward to the future of the event book. With a smile, Lin Yi closed the event book and put it back on the bookshelf. Only then did he have time to carefully study the compensation sent by Blood Department Minister Yinswili, the spiritual jade. Opening the wooden box, Lin Yi took out the spiritual jade. The moment he touched it, he felt a tingling sensation in his fingers. As if he was electrocuted, a faint wave spread from the spiritual jade. Along his fingers, it rushed into his body. The essence in the body became more active at this moment. The resonance between the essence and the outside world also became more intense at the same time. Faintly, Lin Yi felt countless essences beating in his abdomen. A faint sense of heat constantly appeared and disappeared in the resonance with the energy of the outside world. Hey, is this a precursor to the condensation of the spirit pool? The symbol of entering the human immortal path is to condense the spirit pool, but the spirit pool is a gift from heaven and cannot be achieved by human force. Since ancient times, even in this era, I don't know how many people have cultivated to the peak. But they just can't break through this last layer of condensed spirit pool. At this level, luck occupies too much probability. Lin Yi felt the feeling coming from his abdomen and immediately realized that this might be a precursor to condensation. However, there was still a pain between the chest and abdomen at this time, and the blood circulation was a little blocked, and he was thinking about something. The damage to Lan Kuai-Fong has not healed yet. Maybe when I am fully recovered and completely restored to my peak state, it will be my time to break through. Looking at the spiritual jade in his hand, Lin Yi's eyes flashed with green light. The structure of the spiritual jade appeared clearly in his eyes. In the depths of the spiritual jade, a ray of mysterious light wandered in the spiritual jade. This ray of mysterious light emitted a faint wave. This wave has a strong attraction to the free energy around it. Let the energy around it approach it spontaneously. At this time, Lin Yi took it in his hand, and this wave also enveloped Lin Yi's whole body. This caused the energy concentration around Lin Yi to increase a lot. Among these countless energies, a kind of golden energy has the highest concentration. This energy seems to have a considerable connection with the great power Vajraseal method in Lin Yi's body. Lin Yi observed the scene and thought about something in his heart. That is to say, each kind of skill attracts different energy from heaven and earth. The spirit pool is completely a matter of luck. Is it related to the nature of this energy? Maybe you can learn about it from the Blood Department. This is an official agency. They must have enough knowledge about martial arts. I am really stupid. Why didn't I think of this? A hint of joy appeared on Lin Yi's face. His knowledge of martial arts was actually limited. Most of it was obtained from the old man and Sakuramiya Shirley. But now that it has the official status of a supernatural agency, it would be a fool not to use it. Using the power of the entire country to study martial arts information is naturally more complete and systematic. Lin Yi felt the impact of the changes in the world of the Red Lotus realm all the way. He knew very well that this power had begun to break the secular balance of power. As a ruling agency, the Red Lotus Empire was naturally the first to discover the problem of world changes. He didn't need to think about it to know that the Red Lotus Empire would definitely invest a lot of manpower and material resources to study martial arts, which has been passed down since the mysterious era. Otherwise, there would not be so many martial arts halls, and there would be no such thing as a martial arts practice list. This is the Red Lotus Empire promoting the revival of martial arts while selecting talented people from the public to enter the imperial system. In the past, Lin Yi did not understand why the Red Lotus Empire would spare no effort to promote the expansion of martial arts. Since ancient times, knights have violated the law with martial arts. When great power belongs to oneself, it is definitely not a good thing for the ruling body. The stable national structure will inevitably be affected. But when Lin Yi knew about the weird side hidden in the dark and the various weird events that kept appearing, he figured out what was going on. All this is to fight against the weird tests and various weird events in the dark. It is impossible to rely solely on the official Red Lotus Empire. It is necessary to increase the number of civilian martial artists. Only then can a large number of talented masters be selected to continuously provide new forces for the system. The system has great appeal to most ordinary martial arts masters. This is something that the weird side or other forces cannot provide. The purpose of the Red Lotus Empire is very simple. Through its own research on martial arts and the joining of countless martial arts masters, it can complete the crushing of quality by quantity. At the same time, it also continuously improves the quality of the strong in its own system, completing the complete crushing from quality to quantity. The naked kingly way, with infinite resources, piles up strong people. Then there must be very detailed research materials on martial arts. Thinking of this, Lin Yi directly called Huang Yiming. Beep. Mr. Lin Yi, what do you want? It's like this, I want to ask, with my authority, whether I am qualified to check various information about martial arts. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 117. Huang Yiming was silent for a moment, as if thinking. I need to ask before I can give you an answer. Please give me 10 minutes. Of course, no problem, thank you for your help. Lin Yi politely hung up the phone. It seems I have to wait. Ringing. A few minutes later, the phone rang again. Lin Yi raised his eyebrows and looked at the number. Who is it? I don't know. After answering the phone, a crisp and indifferent female voice sounded, Lin Yi. Sakuramiya Shirley, how do you have my phone number? I asked someone to find it. Your phone number is not difficult to find. Lin Yi leaned on the sofa and moved his posture. Is there something you want to talk to me about? I heard that you solved the Lan Kuai-Fong incident. Yes, is there any problem? No problem, I'm just curious. There was a formation in that place, which attracted a lot of attention. The Sakuramiya family is in Honglian City, so naturally there is also attention. Then 100 Life Corp's immortal formation. The Sakura Palace family has records of it. It is a very ancient formation. To complete it, you must have the essence of a human immortal to build it. And it takes a long time, so I am very interested. Tell me about the situation inside. I want to hear the opinions of the participants. Lin Yi's heart moved, and he thought about it. The Sakura Palace family has a deep foundation in the Red Lotus realm. Maybe I can get some information from her, and it's not certain who is behind this. Okay, I am also interested and want to hear your opinion. Thinking of this, Lin Yi told Sakura Palace Shirley everything he had experienced. However, the information about his own strength naturally passed by. Sakura Palace Shirley naturally did not ask about these. After listening to Lin Yi's story, Sakura Miyaswili was very surprised. This Honglian Moro is really vicious. In order to achieve immortality, he actually killed so many people. The mastermind behind this is also equally vicious. You have to be careful. Lin Yi smiled. Do you have any information that you can provide to me? I really don't, but I will send someone to help you investigate. If there is any news, I will inform you as a reward for this story. The only information I can provide is that this matter may be related to the sect that disappeared in the distant era. Is that so? I understand. Thank you. Bye, I will continue to take care of your business next time if I have something to do. Of course I would like to. After hanging up the phone, Lin Yi looked at his phone and saw a missed call from Huang Yiming. I just talked to Sakura Miyaswili and didn't receive this call. I pressed the button and called back again. Beep. Mr. Lin, I have asked the Deputy Minister. Your authority allows you to obtain martial arts research materials below the first level of the human immortal way. If you need it, I can send someone to deliver it. Lin Yi smiled slightly. Of course I need it, thank you. Half an hour later, Brandy knocked on Lin Yi's bedroom door. Manager, there is a courier for you. Lin Yi was stunned when he heard it. Courier. Opening the door, he looked at Brandy and said, who sent the courier? The courier said it was from the Hell Bar, and the messenger was Huang Yiming. Lin Yi's mouth twitched. Do you really not care about the information being stolen? Or, this information is not precious? With this thought in mind, he took the package from Brandy. Okay, you go out and get busy. Bai Lan nodded, turned around and walked out. Lin Yi returned to his seat and opened the package. Inside was a bound document as thick as a finger. Take out the bound document and see the cover. Report on the analysis of martial arts by the Imperial Martial Arts Research Institute, first level of the mortal path to the immortal path. Lin Yi raised his eyebrows when he saw the name. The Red Lotus Empire seems to have a very deep research on martial arts. Lin Yi became alert and began to carefully study the report on the Empire's research on martial arts. Time passed by minute, and it was late at night in a blink of an eye. Lin Yi almost forgot to eat and sleep, and had dinner in his bedroom. He took a deep breath, and countless information flashed through his mind, and he closed the report. He finally had a complete and systematic understanding of martial arts practice. The content of this book is extremely detailed in the study of martial arts, and there are almost no secrets at each stage. From a completely scientific perspective, all aspects of the martial arts realm are explained. For example, the first level of swallowing air has detailed research and data support for the refining of food air. According to the properties of one's own practice method, eating the corresponding various ingredients can increase the conversion rate of food air. For example, changing the characteristics of ingredients will have what kind of impact on the food air refined in the method. This is an extremely precise research data calculation. Of course, Lin Yi only saw the general research direction. The real secrets and data are impossible for him to see. But these research directions and some example research data also made Lin Yi feel the power of the Red Lotus Empire. The Red Lotus Empire must have developed a systematic practice method suitable for various exercises. It can ensure that practitioners continue to break through in the most perfect state. Then increase the probability of breaking through the human immortal path. It's really terrifying. This is the power of the whole country's research. What force can compare to it? The country is the biggest force. Who can compare to it? Lin Yi was deeply impressed and felt the power of the Red Lotus Empire. The reason why the Red Lotus Empire has not yet formed an absolute advantage is only because of the existence of traditional weird forces. These forces have existed for countless years. There must be something that the Red Lotus Empire is afraid of. Otherwise, with the modern military power of the Red Lotus Empire and the thorough research on martial arts, it is impossible to tolerate the existence of such forces. Whether it is good or bad, as long as it has great power and threatens the empire, it is wrong. This is the struggle between the temple and the grass dragons and snakes. Lin Yi has the vision of the Chinese era on Earth, with the knowledge and accumulation of a civilization. Combined with this system research material, a lot of things have been seen. But it has nothing to do with me. I'm just an ordinary person who makes a living by my ability. I don't care about other things. But the first level of the human immortal path is divided into 3 realms, which is surprising. Spiritual pool, liquid transformation, and liquid refining. In the realm of the spiritual pool, 3 parts are cultivation, and 7 parts are destiny, opportunity, and understanding. Spirit pool, according to research. It is a condensation of energy, perfectly combined with the human body, similar to a mysterious energy organ of a battery. Existing in the Danshan ki eye of the human body, a new illusory organ, an important sign of becoming a non-human life form. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 118. The Empire has conducted various studies and tests on the spirit pool and found that everyone's spirit pool is different. There are 1,000 kinds of spirit pools for 1,000 people, but the difference between the spirit pools is not in the shape. Rather, the quality and properties of the spirit that can be contained in it, the subtle structure, strength, sensitivity of the spirit pool organ, and the frequency of external energy resonance, etc. will be different. Some people have a wide spirit pool that can accommodate more spirit than ordinary people, so the endurance and potential of this person are stronger. Spiritual energy is the source of power. The larger the spirit pool, the more spirit it can accommodate, and the stronger the combat power. The quality of the spirit is different, and the energy resonance between heaven and earth is also different. The Empire has conducted various tests and studies on the spirit pool and discovered countless information and secrets. There is a very comprehensive understanding of the spirit pool, and all the research shows that. If you want to go further on the road of martial arts in the future, then the spirit pool needs to meet several basic conditions. The first is the size of the spirit pool. In the case of internal observation, the size of the spirit pool can be judged. The spirit pool of ordinary people and immortal masters is generally only 3 feet in size and presents a spherical shape. For people with extraordinary talents or special skills, the maximum width of the spirit pool can reach 9 feet and 9 inches. There are several ways to get a huge spirit pool. The first method is the skills. If it is strong enough, once it breaks through, the spirit pool will not be small. The second method is that the talent is extraordinary, and it has a strong adaptability to the energy of heaven and earth. Then, when condensing the spirit pool, because of this adaptability, the size of the spirit pool can be increased to a certain extent. The third method is to hone it according to the properties of one's own essence, so that the essence becomes more pure and the size of the spirit pool can also be increased. Lin Yi looked at these 3 methods carefully, compared himself, and had something in mind. My powerful Vajra seal was unearthed from a mysterious ancient ruin, and its quality is definitely not low. According to the research in the report, many ancient cultivation methods will not condense a spirit pool lower than 6 feet. Secondly, this technique is a technique involving gold and light attributes. I should be able to find a way to hone it and make it more refined. I'm afraid I don't have any talent, so it seems that it may be possible to reach 9 feet and 9 spirit pools. After thinking carefully, Lin Yi knew what he should do next. As for the first level of human immortality, the liquid transformation and refining involve the tempering of essence. This is still far away, so Lin Yi didn't pay attention to it. According to the description above, the methods of tempering essence and qi for various attributes are different. But the research materials do not describe how to temper essence and qi, which is troublesome. And it is difficult to determine what kind of essence and qi my method is. The Empire will not easily reveal these detailed information, so we have to think of other ways. I have an advantage, the true destiny and Dao interpretation given to me by the Yiling Jing. This mysterious ability can peek into the mysteries of all things. If I want to temper essence and qi, this is the only direction I can rely on. With an eye in mind, Lin Yi began to test. The great power Vajra seal in his body kept running, and his whole body became shrouded in a golden light. At the same time, the Yiling Jing also started to run, and the light of the true destiny and Dao interpretation in his eyes bloomed. His eyes fell on his palms, carefully observing the essence and qi running in his body. In his eyes, he could see a piece of golden essence and qi flowing in his meridians. With the thought, the scenery in front of him changed rapidly, and his vision began to enter a state of stretching and magnification. The essence and chi flowing in his palms quickly became clearer and more detailed. Golden particles flowed in his body, that was his essence. Looking at these essences, Lin Yi observed them carefully. Basically every 10 seconds, he would stop restoring the power of the Yiling Jing and recover. Through continuous observation, he found some problems in his essence. Although his essence looked all golden, there were many differences in the particles. These essence particles were of different sizes and shapes, and some were mixed with other colors, which showed problems at first glance. Based on careful observation, he came to a conclusion. The most perfect essence particles are pure spherical particles, which emit a faint hazy golden light. This golden light is purer and more mysterious than other essence particles. After understanding the information of essence in his mind, he soon had a plan in his mind. Maybe this can be done. Lin Yi stopped the rapid operation of the Vajra seal. A stream of essence stayed in his palm, and his eyes were fixed on his palm. He began to use his mind to control the essence in his palm for classification. First, he picked out the most perfect essence particles and gathered them all in one finger. This was a very difficult task. To control the essence particles individually, he needed to concentrate very hard. Lin Yi spent several hours, constantly stopping to recover the consumption of the true destiny solution. In the intermittent process, he barely managed to gather the perfect essence particles. At this time, Lin Yi's right hand underwent a magical change, and his little finger was pure gold. It seemed that countless radiances gathered in it, making his little finger look as crystal clear as crystal. Blood, nerves, bones, muscles, and fat are all clearly visible, a special state. When Lin Yi saw this scene, he was stunned. This is incredible. Perfect essence particles actually have this kind of use. This is almost comparable to perspective. After a long while, Lin Yi came back to his senses, and the green light in his eyes continued to flash. His eyes looked at other parts of his palm, where there was a dim golden light. It made his palm look like a golden sculpture. He was ready to start the second step of his experiment. I hope everything is as I guessed. Lin Yi's mind drove the dim essence particles on the other side of his palm. His target was a dim essence particle, and his mind enveloped it, making it very difficult to move. It was like a lively little monkey, always thinking about jumping out of Lin Yi's control and not being controlled by Lin Yi. However, under Lin Yi's mind, the little monkey was finally caught. Under Lin Yi's control, this essence particle slowly moved towards the target area. It flowed into Lin Yi's little finger, which was full of perfect essence particles. This imperfect essence particle merged into countless perfect essence particles, and nothing changed. It just stayed there quietly, motionless. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 119. Seeing the motionless imperfect essence, Lin Yi controlled the perfect essence to collide with the imperfect essence. Soon a magical scene happened. This imperfect essence particle, under the impact of the surrounding perfect essence particles, persisted for a few seconds before being completely shattered. As soon as it shattered, Lin Yi immediately stopped the collision of perfect essence. The fragments of the imperfect essence particles began to reassemble under the golden light of the perfect essence. During this process, Lin Yi was surprised to find that the recondensed essence particles turned into a perfect essence particle. Sure enough, it's the same as in the Empire's research report. It seems that high-quality Jing Qi can affect low-quality Jing Qi. But there's a balance to this impact. A certain amount of high-quality essence can only affect a certain amount of low-quality essence at a time. Once the maximum limit is exceeded, high-quality essence will be affected by low-quality essence and produce impurities. The influence of the two essences is relative, and tempering the essence is a very cumbersome process. Lin Yi came up with the method of tempering essence after referring to the Empire's research report. That is to say, he has the ability to understand the mystery of true life, so that he can do this. Seeing that his approach was working, he immediately began to increase the number of experiments. The first time it was 1 imperfect essence particle, and now there are 10 imperfect essence particles. He wants to find an accurate ratio in the process of constant trying. This allows him to complete the tempering of his essence as quickly as possible. Time passed minute by minute, and Lin Yi heard nothing about what was going on outside the window. Everything in the master house was handed over to Brandy. Except for a few nights when strange beings came from another world, which prompted him to take action, he never left his room. At this time, he had already lit up the 41st Lotus Mudra. After a few days passed, Lin Yi finally calculated the limit ratio of perfect essence to imperfect essence. 7%, this is a limit ratio. Once it exceeds this number, perfect essence will be negatively affected by imperfect essence. After finding this ratio, Lin Yi devoted himself wholeheartedly to tempering his own essence. After spending a day, he finally completed the tempering of all his essence. A ball of pure golden light like the sun shone in his danchan. However, this group of light was very restrained at this time and did not shine out. When all the essence remains in the danchan ki, they will converge on all fluctuations. After tempering all his energy, Lin Yi felt something strange about himself. The perfect essences in the danchan are beating slowly, forming a strong resonance with the energy from the outside world. The damage in his body has been completely healed in the past few days, and he is now at his peak. With every move he made, he felt that his energy was echoing with the energy from the outside world. During his observation of true life path interpretation, he could see a pure golden light all around. It continues to gather and spread with your own breathing. An area of 1 meter in radius became an area of this golden energy. These energies resonate with the essence in the body, but cannot flow into the body from the top of the head. The essence in his body has reached its extreme limit, and it can no longer hold a single particle of essence. However, in this constant resonance, he noticed the location of his danchan. Countless perfect essences are undergoing some kind of change, which is a slow but steady change. There was a vague suspicion in his mind, is this the spiritual pool slowly condensing? The condensation of the spiritual pool is not achieved overnight, but is a process of change. It usually takes 7 days to half a month, and finally there will be a drastic change. When the time is right, the spiritual pool will take shape. Martial arts practitioners will also step into the first level of human immortality and master more powerful power. In ancient times, the condensed spirit pool was also called a human immortal. Legend has it that when a person becomes an immortal, he can travel hundreds of miles in a day, and he can walk across mountains, rivers, and swamps as if he were walking on flat ground. You can even cast Taoist magic, the legendary mysterious power. Lin Yi has also seen people use Taoism. The mysterious illusion that Shirley Sakuramiya once performed in the sewers could create 3 clones, if not for its true destiny. Lin Yi couldn't understand why, it was a very powerful method. Taking a deep breath, Lin Yi felt certain in his heart that he had passed the most difficult step in entering the path of human immortality and had found the energy condensed in the spiritual pool. The next step is to wait for the final change to come. During this time, he plans to recharge his batteries. Looking at the time, it was already 12 o'clock in the evening. I haven't had a good rest for a few days, and I can finally have a good sleep today. Lying on the bed casually, Lin Yi's mind wandered and he fell into sleep. There is always a hazy atmosphere in the Wanchaiwu house in this late night. It seems as if it will disappear from this world at any time, full of mystery, weirdness, and a hint of terror. Occasionally when there is a sidewalk passing Wanchaiwu at night, I will unconsciously stay away from it. It was as if there was some scourge here that would pounce out and drag them in. In the Wanchi house, there are more and more inexplicable auras as time goes by. No one noticed the increase in aura, but various weird phenomena continued to occur in the Wanchai view late at night. In the lobby, on the bar counter of the Wanchai, a phantom that seemed to be a passage appeared. A small figure walked through the passage. It was a little man with a strange face. It held a trident and had tattered wings on its back. The dark skin was like black charcoal, with only a pair of blood-red eyes. It appeared from one end of the passage and disappeared at the other end. And after it disappeared, a second little man appeared. But it looked different, with a spider-like lower body and an upper body made up of countless tentacles. It moved quickly and disappeared at the other end of the passage. The passage did not exist for long, just a few minutes, and it disappeared again. At this time, in the kitchen, an illusory shadow loomed. It was shrouded in a black robe, with only 2 dry palms exposed. Each of these palms had 6 fingers, and there were many furry things crawling on the fingers. The strange black robe floated in the kitchen, moving back and forth in a limited area. At this time, an illusory little head came through the kitchen door. The strange child saw it, but he did not take action, just quietly watching the strange black robe. The black robe seemed to be unaware of the existence of the strange child. After a few minutes, it quickly and slowly disappeared. This strange phenomenon lasted for an hour before it gradually subsided. The House of Everything I Created. Author, Yinian Luan Tianji. Chapter 120. The night passed slowly, and the Wanchaiwa returned to silence again. Today's news. A serial murder occurred again in the city last night. At 5 in the morning, the sanitation workers found the body while cleaning the street. The crime scene was in an alley on Yulong Street in the east of the city. The deceased was a 19-year-old woman, according to nearby surveillance. The deceased was killed on her way home from the Blue Sea Bar on Lianhua Street. Let's connect with the on-site reporter. Early in the morning, Lin Yi got up early and came to the lobby for breakfast. Drinking a cup of black coffee, watching the news broadcast on TV, he couldn't help shaking his head. Brandy was preparing for today's business at the bar. The picture on TV was showing a dark alley. At this time, it was completely blocked by countless yellow seals, and police cars and ambulances were blocked outside. Some staff members were investigating the scene and collecting samples. An ordinary-looking frontline reporter was holding a microphone and speaking to the camera. Dear audience, we are now at the crime scene, according to our on-site interviews. The deceased is the same as the previous murders, with the abdomen dug open and the uterus cut open. According to the investigation results given by the police, it should be a person who was abused by his mother in childhood. According to the description of the psychological profiler, the murderer's childhood must have been extremely miserable. He suffered severe psychological trauma, so he specifically targeted women. Specially cutting the uterus is a potential emotional expression of punishment for the mother. Therefore, the official calls on all women in Honglian City to try not to go out late at night. Even if you go out, don't go into the alleys and roads to avoid unnecessary danger. Brandy watched the news on TV and shrank his neck. This Honglian City is getting more and more uneasy. There are always various terrorist incidents during this period. It's just like a disaster movie or a horror movie. Looking at Brandy with a horrified look on his face, Lin Yi twitched the corner of his mouth. Look at your ugly face, you are the bartender of the Wanchaiwu. You don't even have this courage, you have been doing this business with me for so long. Looking at Lin Yi's expression, Brandy shook his head quickly. Manager, you are wrong. I am just a bartender, I can't solve the ghost incident. I haven't solved a ghost. Lin Yi frowned and glanced at Brandy. Why? Are you interested? This business makes money quickly. You are still not good enough for me. I'm short of gold coins. Brandy was smart. Manager, I'd better work hard to pay off my debts. I'm most afraid of ghosts. The strange phenomena that occurred in the store last time scared me to death. I've been having nightmares for several days in a row, and it's hard to catch my breath. Lin Yi pursed his lips. You're kidding, you sleep very soundly, snoring loudly, and you have nightmares, or even wet dreams. Brandy shrank his head when he heard it, and hurriedly buried his head in washing cups and tidying up various tableware. It seemed that he was afraid that Lin Yi would really drag him to deal with various strange events. Okay, I won't look for you, looking at your appearance. You'll end up being a delivery boy if you go. Ignoring Brandy, Lin Yi continued to enjoy his breakfast. Today is bacon sandwiches, ham sausages and coffee. After a breakfast, Lin Yi came to his exclusive sofa. At the floor-to-ceiling window in front of the door, he took out his mobile phone and started browsing the Tide app. There are always various short videos on it, and his favorite ones are the columns related to vengeful spirits and strange events. Although 99% of them are fake, there are always some that are true. These are the channels for Lin Yi to collect and summarize information about vengeful spirits. Lin Yi occasionally swipes through the seemingly weird and terrifying short videos, watching them with relish. Ringing. The doorbell rang, and Brandy greeted it with a professional smile. Welcome, please sit here. The morning business started, and the Wanchaiwu is a place where many nearby office workers enjoy breakfast. Many of them are old customers and have a special liking for this place. Lin Yi would greet these people and chat for a few words, and at the same time he could hear some interesting rumors and stories from them. On a leisurely day, Lin Yi did not practice the great power Vajrasil. He is now on the eve of condensing the spirit pool, and it doesn't matter whether he practices or not. On the contrary, what he needs most at this time is to wait quietly for the spirit pool to take shape naturally. The so-called Tao follows nature, and things will come naturally. This is what it means. There are also descriptions of this in the information of the Empire Research. It was evening soon, perhaps because of the impact of the serial murder case. The number of people dining in the evening has dropped sharply recently, which has also affected the income of the Wanchaiwu. Lin Yi looked at the sky and the gradually empty streets, and prepared to close the store. At this time, a person suddenly came over and pushed open the door of the Wanchaiwu. Ringing. Welcome, Brandy greeted him. Lin Yi glanced at the guest and his heart moved immediately. Hey, this person is a bit strange. The person who came in was a young man, although he only glanced at him. But Lin Yi also saw the face of this person, very handsome, with a feminine appearance, and an inexplicable feminine aura. Wearing a straight tuxedo, he exuded a gentlemanly demeanor. Sir, here is the menu. What would you like to order? The person who came was Xuanhuan. She took the menu handed over by Brandy, flipped through it casually, and ordered a steak set meal. The person had his back to Lin Yi, so he couldn't see his expression clearly. A flash of green light appeared in his eyes, and Lin Yi was shocked. This person was filled with a huge amount of pure black essence, like a torrent, which even Sakuramiya surely couldn't match. It could even rival Hongli and Moro, whom he met in Lan Kuai-fong. Horrible, Lin Yi was shocked. This person was obviously problematic. Who is it? Is it a coincidence or intentional to come here? A strong sense of vigilance rose in his heart, and he immediately became alert. The mind communicated with the strange magic cube, and he could summon his 4 strange summons at any time through it. Tick-tock. The second hand of the clock in the hall kept turning, which was the only sound in this quiet hall. In the kitchen, there was a sizzling sound of barbecue. A strange atmosphere rose in this hall. Lin Yi did not speak, but his eyes fell on his mobile phone. However, he was always paying close attention to the mysterious man. As long as the other party made any unusual movements, he would immediately take action. Sinueza came here this time mainly to see who destroyed the arrangement of his master. Unexpectedly, he was stunned when he saw Lin Yi. He recognized Lin Yi, who was the person who appeared in another place arranged by the master on Huaxia Street at that time.